So welcome to another episode at the Essentials channel today. Today we'll be doing our analysis on River Green. Will the river turn green with positivity or become red with negativity? Alright, to me actually River Green itself is one of the better products in terms of layout. I've managed to catch a glimpse of it and did some analysis of it for people who's looking for a good investment, alright, and want to get into the CCR. River Green is actually one of the viable options that I feel, but of course later on we will be actually weighing out the options, the pros and the cons, so that we can actually evaluate whether is River Green such a good buy or not. Will it form green with positive profits or will it actually lose money? Right, I think that's the important question. So welcome to the Essentials channel. If you like what I've been doing so far, please remember to like, share and subscribe. And of course, moving forward, we will be doing the usual project framework. First of all, we will start off with the rapid fire info, the floor plan and site plan analysis, why I will buy River Green, why I will not buy River Green, the price prediction, and of course the final verdict. Okay, without further ado, here are a bit of the artist's impression of River Green. So we move on to the rapid fire info. First of all, it is called River Green, situated along 11 River Valley Green. Alright, it is CCR, it is District 9, it is sitting on a land size of 100,032 square feet. Actually quite big to begin with, huh? And then of course, it is a 99 leasehold starting from 24th September 2024. The expected TOP is 30th June 2030. So the total number of units that we have is 524 units, 36 stories, 6 lifts, and then of course we only have about 269 car park lots, which forms about 55% of the entire development. Because it is right beside the MRT, so likelihood we may not need that many car park lots. And like what we mentioned before, Orchard River Valley is also trying to become a car light area based on the transformation plans. Alright, the next thing, it is also by Wing Tai. Alright, the developer is Wing Tai, and then the architect is P&T Group. So now we move on to actually the unit distribution and unit mix. Alright, so here's the unit mix. For the 1 bedrooms, we have stack 1 and 5, 420 square feet. 1 plus study, we have 35 units, stack 4 at 452 square feet. For the 2 bedrooms, we have stack 13 and 14 at 527 square feet. For B2 type 2 bedrooms, it is stack 03 at 527 square feet. Next, we have the 2 bedroom premium, stack 6, stack 7 and stack 12. Total of 105 units at 603 square feet. There's an alternative 2 bedroom premium, which is at stack 11, 35 units, 603 square feet. Next, we have the 2 plus study, stack 9, 35 units, 657 square feet, and then followed by the 3 bedrooms, C1, C2, and C3. Alright, 3 bedroom C1, we have 34 units, stack 15, 786 square feet. 3 bedroom C2, stack 10, 35 units, 872 square feet. 3 bedroom C3, stack 2, 35 units at 883 square feet. Next, we have the 4 bedroom, which is only 1 stack, stack 8, 35 units, 980 square feet. Here is also all of their maintenance fees listed out. Alright, so next we move on to the site plan. We can see from here, this is how the site plan looks like. Alright, all the units are situated on the right side of the site. Well, this is the thing about this site itself. The site itself is actually in a very odd shaped layout for the site. So you can see from here, of course, they managed to squeeze in a tennis court. Of course, 100,000 square feet of land is actually a bigger land size compared to Upper House, and maybe that is why they are able to fit in a little bit more facilities. Alright, you can see they have a nice pool, they have a nice entrance, and then on the right side of the development, they actually put in a tennis court to buffer a little bit from the MRT station. We actually have a few side gate, south access gate, side gate west, side gate north. Actually is to facilitate the convenience of the residents. So one easy access to the MRT, one easy access to the Robertson side of things. The only thing about this site plan itself that I may want to comment on is also the land shape itself. Basically, the land shape is in a very awkward position and a shape that means that there may be a little bit of sacrifice on the family communal activities, because there is just that much landscaping that the developer can do. The limitations are there, and the fact that they are able to squeeze in a tennis court is actually quite impressive. This one will be a point block on its own, so it will be quite an iconic site to see in the River Valley area. So now actually River Green marks the first property that is launching along the River Valley cluster township. So as you can see, the unit distribution here actually is quite impressive. 26 to 27% of the development is catered to 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. Alright, that's not too bad, because this actually brings in the natural demand, and you will realize that those who really want to be in the CCR but do not want to break the banks, actually River Green offers a very good affordability viable option, because you will see based on their sizes itself, the 4 bedrooms is limited to 980 square feet only. So there will be a little bit of sacrifice as compared to your mass market, but with that sacrifice brings a lot more advantages, because finally you're moving into the center and the heart of the city where the transformation is at as well. So with that in mind, you yourself as a consumer will want to weigh whether is it worth it to drop a little bit of size to keep the quantum low, so that you can really be in the heart of the city. Before moving to the views, actually if you see the site plan, actually with the tennis court, the developer actually was very thoughtful to manage the facings as well. Alright, because we understand that we are also along the main road, alright, and we will get a little bit of road noise. They actually put the tennis court closest to the road so that it gives more buffer to the development itself. So I think this is very thoughtful of the developer. Alright, so let's run through a few quick pointers about the views. If we see from here, stack 15, stack 1 and 2 actually faces the orchard view. The next thing, we have the eastern views, right, where we have all the stacks here from stack 2 all the way to stack 7, which faces towards the direction of Yongan Park. They will get a glimpse of the river view if they tilt their head out a little bit. And then of course we got the side stacks where we stack 10, 9 and 8, where you will get the best views down here, which is the Singapore River. And of course you look towards Cosmopolitan and Trillium side of things with the remaining stacks of 11 to 15. All in all, for this whole development, you are pretty much surrounded by many buildings. If you want some premium views, probably is stack 8, 9 and 10, which is actually a 2 bedroom plus study stack. Stack 10, which is the 3 bedroom, 872 square feet type C2. And of course, the 4 bedrooms, the 980 square feet that gets the best views of the Singapore River. So now we move on to the floor plan analysis. So we start off with the 1 bedroom, 420 square feet. As we enter the main entrance, no space is wasted for any foyer or corridor space. Immediately you are greeted with an enclosable kitchen for a 1 bedroom. It's actually quite impressive. Moving forward, you have a designated dining area, a living area, a Jack and Jill entrance to the master bath, and of course to your master bedroom. A balcony that is quite reasonably sized, I must say. So it is a defined kitchen that is tucked away from living and dining area. It's quite hard to actually find an enclosable kitchen in a 1 bedroom. I actually give this a thumbs up for the 1 bedroom layout. So those who are looking for investment units, actually River Green is one of the development that you can look at because of this enclosable kitchen feature that sets you apart from many of the other 1 bedrooms that we see in today's market. Alright, they are mainly in stacks 1 and 5. Next, we have 1 bedroom plus study, which is the 452 square feet. As you enter, on the left will be your study, on the right will be the galley kitchen. Alright, they try to maximize the layout by giving you an L-shaped kitchen, which is quite impressive as a 1 bedroom as well. In fact, you have your washer and dryer hidden under the countertop of that kitchen space. And of course, we proceed forward. We have the dining and living, the master bedroom, which has a Jack and Jill access to the master bath as well. So it retains the privacy whenever you have guests over. Alright, the study space can actually act as a walk-in wardrobe. Alright, this is mainly in stack 4. Next, we have the 2 bedroom, 527 square feet. Look at how effective the layout is. 527 square feet, you may be really afraid that you have not enough livable space to stay in, and the efficiency of it actually plays a very big part. The good thing about this, last time in the past where it wasn't harmonized, when we see 527 square feet, 2 bedrooms, we really get very afraid. Alright, but now with harmonization, it also means that the 527 square feet is all effectively inside the unit itself. So with that in mind, that's why we can see from here, they are able to give an enclosable kitchen. As we move forward, we have a dining area and a living area. Of course, with the 2 bedrooms on each side is the most effective dumbbell layout that we always see in the market. This time around, your master bath, because it is a 2-bed 1-bath, it has the dual access to maintain and retain the privacy. Next, we have the 2-bedroom premium at 603 square feet. Similar dumbbell layout. With that extra space, we are able to squeeze in a second toilet. Same thing comes with an enclosable kitchen, a defined kitchen tucked away from the living and dining. Have a designated dining space, a living area, of course with the 2 bedrooms on each side. Alright, each can also form a suite on its own. Alright, for the second bath, we have the dual access, meaning to say the bedroom 2 also gets its own privacy. This is definitely one of the most effective layout that we get to see here. The 2-bedroom 603 square feet. In case you are really wondering, is it that livable or not? It is, because we see similar units in Sterling residences. The 2-bedroom premiums that comes with 2-bed 2-bath are between the range of 624 square feet to 657 square feet. And with that in mind, actually Sterling residences was non-harmonized before. You minus that AC latch away, is basically the 603 square feet that we are actually looking at right now. And truth to be told, they actually experience more than 300k to even 400k of profits depending on your entry price. So if you think about that, you keep your quantum low but you get pretty good high returns. Am I right to say your return of equity is actually quite good? So those looking for investment down here, the 603 2-bedroom premium may actually be a very viable option. Next, we have the 657 square feet 2-bed plus study. Coming in here, what used to be a wall is right now, the right side is a study. The location of all the components within the layout remains the same compared to the previous 2-bed 1-bath or 2-bed 2-bath smaller units layout. You are greeted with an enclosable kitchen, dining area, 2 bedrooms on each side and 2 bathrooms on each side. Alright, the only difference is this: you may not actually like the location of the dining area because you are actually facing the toilet, but well, that's about how effective this layout can get. You want cheap, you want affordable within the River Valley area, then naturally something has to go. We can't be too picky. And am I right to say if you're buying this for investment, then maybe it doesn't really matter too much. But if we look at this layout itself, it is also actually very ideal, very livable. So for smaller families who are able to take the sacrifice and not need such a big space, the quantum that you have to afford an OCR or RCR may well just be used for the CCR side of things. Next, we have the 3-bedroom 872 square feet. Coming in here, you have a foyer space that you can put in your shoe storage, the DB box, and then the enclosable kitchen. This time around, they give you a slightly bigger kitchen. Alright, but in order to keep the quantum low, they have to shrink the size a little bit. This time around, you can fit a 6-seater dining set. Alright, they give you curve-shaped balcony. Maybe not so ideal about that. Alright, because you can't really use the portion where it's curved. Can't do much really probably to put more plants in that area. Alright, next thing is of course going to the right side. This time around, instead of making the very long corridor space, they cascade the 3 bedrooms by layers. In a way, 2 of the bedrooms is on the left side and 1 of the bedrooms is on the right side. This will actually minimize corridor space but increase the effective space of the unit. So next, we have the master bedroom on the far right, followed by bedroom 3, and then followed by bedroom 2. All these again are hackable walls, which gives you more flexibility to how you want to configure your space. Alright, next we have the 4 bedrooms 980 square feet. This is in stack 8, mainly facing the river views. You can see from here it mimics what the 3-bedroom is like. Coming in here, you are greeted with the enclosed kitchen, the 6-seater dining set, the living room, and then the 3 bedrooms on the right and 1 bedroom on the left. Again, with this cascading way of building, in a way it reduces the corridor space rather than having the long corridor with one side being all bedrooms. This one only extends the corridor space. So in a way, 980 square feet for a 4-bedroom, don't expect that kind of big landscape layout. But the beautiful part of things is 4 bedrooms, 980 square feet. The most important part is this: if you are really in need of size, can we just hack down bedroom 3 so that we can create a wider living space? Alright, this is something that really it offers a bit of flexibility, but most importantly, it gets you 1 foot in or 2 foot in into the River Valley area. I think this is something that the developer went the other way of the spectrum and managed to give the consumers more alternatives in the market rather than bogging it down and burdening it with a lot of bigger size units where maybe the buyers find it very difficult to afford. Now, affordability is within reach just to be in River Valley. Right? And you can do so much with this 1,000 square feet, especially with the flexible walls that they give due to their construction method. Another thing to take note, all 3 and 4 bedrooms are in the corner units. They prioritize livability. Corner unit also means what? Every toilet will probably have a window. Alright, and one more thing to take note, all of the units come with a 2.9 meter ceiling height. At various components such as the kitchen, the bathrooms, they all drop to 2.4 to 2.42 meters. Alright, so now we move on to why I will not buy. It's actually quite hard to find fault with this, but let's be a little bit more nitty-picky as a consumer today. First of all, if I'm a consumer today, looking at the land size as well as the land shape itself, it actually creates a concern for me. So number one pointer is the land shape. First of all, to me, in order to find a good sustainable property with sustainable prices, livability is the key factor. I mean, the developer really tries to make good use of whatever the cards they have been dealt with, but unfortunately the land shape is in this way. So you can see a lot of the landscaping is wasted in the on the left side of the site plan, where it is a very narrow land strip here, which they have no choice but to put like landscaping facilities, right? They also need to put the entrance there, all right, so that it actually utilizes the space effectively. All right, otherwise you can see they are using this space to actually form the pool portion of this whole development. I mean, what we are used to seeing in the mass market or city fringe properties, what really allows the property to be very livable is the landscaping, the amenities and the facilities within the development that facilitates the communal and community activities. All right, your kids want to have a very nice space, a big lawn area to run around, to live. That's why it's called livability. And if we look at the site plan itself, we actually realize that this land shape itself, basically the first 20% on the left side of it can't be used. It has to be the entrance. And if you look at these facilities on the left side, basically I feel that nobody will be using it because it is too far and disconnected from the actual block itself. Meaning to say, this front portion of the land is kind of useless and it's not effective. Alright, of course, as we move towards to the right side of the land, that's exactly why they placed the block placement there, because it is wide enough with good enough setback to locate the block there. Of course, they have to put the tennis court there. They could have maybe put it in front of the guard post, alright, on the left side, but of course, with the road on the right side, naturally having the tennis court there will make a lot more sense because it buffers the road noise from the development itself. So that is one reason why I will not buy River Green. So wrapping it up, in a way, it concerns the family communal activities. If you're okay to sacrifice that just because you are able to get into the development in a River Valley area, then naturally I think this is well mitigated. I mean, I've seen so many places with so big facilities, but in the end the residents also end up not using them. So the key question to ask yourself as a consumer is it really that important? Because look at myself, I mean, I stay in a full facilities condo. My land size is big, I got the swimming pool, I got multiple barbecue pits, I got the playground, I got the tennis court, but if you ask me, I stay in Novel 18 for the last 4 years already. I've actually never really walked the facilities lah. So the key question to ask is, does the advantages outweigh the cons? So next, why I would not buy River Green. So of course, depending on the developer track record, they have projects like Garden Residences. I mean, that was a collaboration between Wing Tai as well as Keppel Bay. And of course, if you realize Garden Residences, they actually run a similar type and style and developer direction in terms of pricing strategy as well. They kept the sizes small, you get 800 square feet 3 bedrooms, but the thing is probably because of the construction method, the walls were a bit too thick, resulting in the bedroom sizes or the aspect ratio to be a little bit funny and weird, making it not livable. Alright, so this one, depending on how they build it this time, but then again, because of their past track record, we may need to be more mindful when it comes to the unit selection as well as the layout selection. Of course, based on what I'm seeing on the floor plans right now, I'm waiting for the agent's briefing. But of course, whatever I'm seeing on the floor plans right now, they have done a really good job trying to mitigate this risk and issue. So, but this is one of the things that I will be mindful about. So because they run that style, and you can see from here the developer direction is still the same, meaning to say those people who are looking for bigger units, basically you have cut out this whole entire audience, because you know, buyers are very clear. They need to cater to the needs of their families. And people who can really stay in the Orchard area, in the city area, they probably have deeper pockets. So in a way, your project is limited to a very niche group of people, and it might actually limit your exit strategy in future. Because if you ask me for myself, is a 980 square feet 4-bedroom enough for myself? When I have kids in future, I will have a question mark. And my pocket is okay, it's pretty deep enough to be able to stay in Orchard. Would I really want to buy this 980 square feet 4-bedroom? Alright, but of course we talk about other consumers, the demographics of Orchard and River Valley area. Generally, if you aspire to be staying in this area, definitely they are probably high flyers, and high flyers would want a bit more luxury in the developments that they stay in. Size is one of them. Grandeur is another one of them, and that is the main reason why River Green may have a bit of limitation, because based on point 1 just now, the landscape itself is not grand enough. It does not exude grandeur. Alright, I finally get to stay in River Valley, alright, but it does not bring out the grandeur. Alright, and of course, the size of the units, they are all mainly small size units that's catered to investors. I want to buy for own stay, I want to have that big space that opens up and all. I don't have it as well. So it will limit the audience and demographics that will be purchasing River Green. So your exit strategy may be affected. The third point, why I will not buy River Green: competition. Total, we have about 6 new launches coming out within this area, and there will be even more. It is in the infrastructure phase, we understand, and that's why the government is introducing the township. My only main concern is there enough demand to actually take up this whole area? Of course, with the narrowing price gap, and that's why I think Wing Tai may have done a smart move. It really depends on the consumer's appetite and whether the pricing is palatable or not, but they went the other side of the spectrum to cater to the grounds. But the key thing to take note is this: there will be 6 new launches coming out in this area. What would the buyers choose, and who will be the ones buying? That's the key question to ask. And imagine all are coming out at the same time, and they need to TOP at the same time. By then, the buyers will be spot for choices. Am I right to say your exit strategy may be limited, and you need to have a longer holding power to make sure you edge off the supply factor first before we can actually achieve a good exit pricing. Next, why I will buy River Green. Number 1, affordability as well as a viable investment option. I think the developer has actually played a very smart move. Master stroke act, I must say. Alright, but of course, I think they actually went the other spectrum of things. Instead of going heads on with the competition, they actually went the other spectrum and to pick the right audience to focus on. Yes, maybe they would have lost a bit of the audience because they limit their unit sizes, but that also means by dropping the sizes, they open up to a lot more of the mass market people that find it viable to upgrade into. Yes, the people have worked very hard, the mass market buyers and upgraders have worked very hard to finally achieve this dream of staying in the central region CCR properties. And with that in mind, by keeping the sizes small and the quantum low, it actually allows them to be within reach. And the blessing is this: because of the GFA harmonization, it actually removed the AC latch and actually allows the developer to create small units that are effective. And this time round, the consumers themselves no longer have to worry about it. In the past, when you create small units, the consumers will always worry about livability factors. But with the URA policies actually in place right now, it gives the developers every reason to be able to create smaller units, but it creates every assurance for the buyers that the unit will still be livable despite the smaller sizes, and that would probably make the compromise and sacrifice worth it. And if we see across all the layouts, you will realize one thing: all comes with enclosable kitchen, even with the 1-bedrooms. How livable is that? So if you are a family of 3 or 4 and you are thinking, I'm able to buy a 3-bedrooms in the OCR/RCR. But think about it, if I get to stay in the CCR today, but my size is smaller, okay lah, I make a compromise in my living room space, but at least my usual cooking is still enclosed kitchen. At least my 3 bedrooms all are about 9 square meters, which is livable because I can put in a queen size bed. Probably the only compromise and sacrifice that I need to make is my living space, whether my kids have a big enough space to run around. But because I already stay in Orchard, life is going to be a lot more convenient. I can send my kids to school easily, the highways are accessible. I stay in River Valley area where the Great World Mall Mall is right beside me, the MRT is right beside me, and of course the prestige and the status of staying in a central region property, definitely it's intangible, but it does hold some weight in the heart. Everybody aspires to stay in River Valley or Orchard. Am I right or not? Alright, so next, of course, if we look at the investment point of view, the small units, who says small units don't profit as well? Actually, the small units do profit. We can take, for example, Irwell Hill. If we look at Irwell Hill, here I have a chart that shows, do small units not profit? Actually, they do. If we see from here, Irwell consisted mostly of 1 and 2 bedrooms. We can see from there, they have actually 100 units of 1 bedroom plus study, 2 bedrooms, 302 units. Basically, 438 units are 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. Are they profitable? If we look at it, actually they are, with an average profit of 200 to 260k. Of course, with a bit of longer holding period, you may possibly hit 300 to even 350k. But let's take a look at this. Mind you, Irwell Hill is also non-harmonized. So basically, when you see these sizes of 495 square feet, 603 square feet, 624 square feet, and 667 square feet, this includes the AC ledge. Right now, you actually get an equivalent first mover's advantage, similar to what Irwell Hill had, but this time around, you get a bigger, more efficient layout without the AC ledge inside. And if we look at that, the average profits are like what I mentioned, 250 to 280. We may possibly hit 300 to 350k. And if we count that, assuming a purchase price of 1.75 mil, the down payment including the stamp duty is 492k, $100, and we see the profit being at 268k. The ROE is actually not that bad. You use 492k to earn 268k, it still results in a 54% ROE. But this time round, not only do you get the return of equity, but you get the convenience, right? Because we are talking about investment point of view. You get the rentability, the ease of rentability in the town area, and the yields are actually quite high. Because if you look at the yields of the Irwell Hill, basically we have more than 200 transactions between January to June, 33 transactions per month at an average of 3.3 to 3.5% yield. Hey, that makes up for it, am I right or not? You get a balance of ROE, yet you get a strong yield of about 3.5%. If you're doing it for own stay, maybe your ROE, return of equity, is lower compared to the mass market, but hey, you get an intangible benefit that probably money can't buy sometimes, which is the prestige and the status of staying in River Valley. And that is the main reason why I will actually buy River Green. Okay, number 2, why I will buy River Green is the first mover's advantage. Basically, we're going to have 6 new launches coming out in the area. With that in mind, if you are the developer, how would you actually price it? Because this is what was mentioned in the Robertson Opus video as well. Why do I say it's the first mover's advantage? Because it is very clear, alright, there's going to be 6 new launches coming out. In order to get the loan dispersed, they definitely need to hit 30% of the sales sold. Then their bank loans will be dispersed for the construction. With that in mind, it also means that the developer has a certain KPI to meet. Wing Tai is a big developer as well. They have also multiple land banks available. The other project is also Lake Gardens. As what we always say, as long as they don't sell out, the money can't be dispersed to them. They also can't be collecting money from you because it is progressive payment. So it is in every reason for the developer to move the unit. And like what I mentioned before, timing and momentum is important. If you are the developer and you know that there are so many developments and units launching at the same time in the same area, how would you actually price it? I think the keyword is sensitive. Because if they don't price it sensitively, it affects the timing and momentum of the development. And if they don't move well on the first day, it is very easy for consumers to label it as a bad product. And I'm sure you as a consumer will also question, hey, why is the project not moving? Is there something wrong with it? It may actually be a good product because of hype attraction and slow momentum. You actually might think negatively of the development. And that's why I'm pretty sure that the developer will price it sensitively so that the momentum of the development can continue and they have a good track record to begin with so that consumers can continuously buy in and ride on this momentum so that they have a good impression of this development. Alright, but like I said, there's so many units coming out at the same time. It is to your advantage as a consumer. Of course, we have to be mindful, we have to be clear when the prices come out. We have to do our math to see are they really pricing it sensitively, and that will be left for our price analysis video. Alright, but of course, to tackle the objection of this number of units and new launches coming out in River Valley, is there really an oversupply in the River Valley area? So is it the first time where we see so many units coming out at the same time? Actually, it's not true. Alright, we can see from here, this is a slide which I want to show you. East Coast, 4691 units. Hougang, 6029 units. Woodleigh/Pudong Pasir, 5663 units. Pasir Ris, 5788 units. Flora Road, 6318 units. And plus various other townships. All the townships that the government create are mostly within the range of 5,000 to 7,000 units. Naturally, it is for dwelling, it is for homestay, residential unit and lifestyle. So in a way, it is not the first time we see so many units being clustered together. Take for example the Woodleigh Bidadari area. Wow, that one is really in such a small area. So many residential units of 5,663 units, very densely populated, right? But in the end, many people would think, wow, there may be an oversupply back then. Park Colonial, Woodleigh Residences, and Trevor. But ultimately, were all of them profitable? They are. They all make about 500k to 800k. So coming back to the River Valley area today, the total number of units in this area is only 2208 units. But yet, where is our demand going to come from? Is it really an oversupply? Alright, with 2208 units, actually it's only half the number of whatever townships that we are usually exposed to. You can see from this chart, everybody is about 6,000. You are at only 2208 units, 1/3 of what the usual townships that we are exposed to. And if we deep dive into the numbers, I've actually went on to Google, and Google AI has given me these numbers. We can see based on the Tiong Bahru and the Bukit Merah HDB estate, there's a total of 54,000 residential HDB units with 145,000 HDB residents. We have Queenstown that has a population of 82,500. We have Bidadari, which has approximately 10,000 residential units. Means if I base on prorated basis, we will have about 30,000 residents within Bidadari. And then of course we have Kallang, we have 104k residents. So I just take the usual popular RCR HDBs, alright, within the areas. Alright, and these are people that most probably, if you ask them to downgrade or move to further out locations just to be in a private property, I think they will tell you forget it lah. They are already spoiled with the amenities and convenience, alright, of wherever they are staying in, like Tiong Bahru and Queenstown. You ask them to move further out just to stay in a private, hey, that is actually a huge sacrifice for them to actually go through. Alright, but with that in mind, then these people are likely the ones that will be upgrading into the CCR. Finally, there is space created for societal progression, and there's space created for these RCR HDB upgraders. And because these HDB upgraders move up the ladder to maybe like something like a CCR properties, it also creates space at the HDB segment where OCR HDB upgraders can also upgrade into the RCR HDBs as well. So this whole township created in River Valley is actually a very beneficial thing. But why am I telling you so much? It's actually, if we break down these numbers, total RCR HDB population amongst the popular areas like Tiong Bahru, Redhill, Kallang, as well as Bidadari and Queenstown, we will have a total of 356,900 residents. Right? There are still many other RCR HDBs. And if we just look at this, if we say 10% of them upgrade to the CCR, we are actually looking at 35,690 residents. And with that in mind, we divide by the average household number of 3.11. Hey, that will mean we need 11,475 units. My River Valley Township now only has 2,208 units. Is there even enough to go around? Let's do it even more. 5% upgraders only, because you may say, hey, not everybody got this money to begin with. Fine. We have 5% upgraders at 17,845 residents. Mind you, I haven't included other RCR HDBs as well. Based on this 17,845 divided by 3.11 average household number, we would need 5,737 units. The key question to ask is, I only have 2,208 units in the River Valley area. Are we even creating enough? Alright, the next thing you would ask is, can they have the money or not? Actually, it's true. To be in an RCR HDB, to even ballot for the BTO, they would have actually been high flyers to begin with to be able to afford this BTO. Next, since they started off at such a good footing, am I right to say as long as they keep up with their job promotion, they would have already been able to cater to the loan portion of things. Now, they probably bought their HDBs at 500 to 600k, and today they are selling for more than $1 million. Am I right to say they will have the down payment and the capital being preserved there? Now, more importantly, you don't just buy a property and not have personal savings. Am I right to say they stay in a HDB for the last 5 to 10 years, they would have amassed a good 10 years of personal savings. Am I right to say they would already have the capital to be able to upgrade into the CCR area? And finally, now River Green actually comes in to meet the price void. It is no longer a far-fetched dream that they can really stay in River Valley CCR Central Region property. And just nice, River Green actually fills this price void and cater to this group of people and makes it possible for them. So to wrap up, this is the third point why I will buy River Green. It is the heart of the transformation. Just like my every video, by now you'll be tired of hearing this. We are in the infrastructure phase. Basically, the township is coming in, meaning to say the population will be populated here. There will be influx of population, means natural demand. Like what I mentioned before in my CCR video, alright, the natural demand is coming in because why? The societal progression can happen. In the past, the OCR and RCR prices, the OCR versus CCR used to be 112% difference. The RCR used to be about more than 50% difference. It is very difficult for people to upgrade into the CCR unless they become the rich and famous. That is a very, very minute group of people. Alright, finally today we see the heart of transformation happening, and this is the part where the government is very clear with its policy to make sure buying property is a need. So why do I keep mentioning about this transformation? It's because now it's in the infrastructure phase where they are introducing the developments based on new URA policies. You buy new developments is to keep up with the URA improvements to ensure livability is kept in check to cater to future consumer needs, and that is where your exit strategy is. And with that in mind, that's why River Green can afford to create small units like that, but it is still livable because of the URA policies in place. And with these URA policies in place, this is the chart where we can see how the URA improves over time. In the past, where in 2008 they have GFA exemptions guidelines to remove all the bay windows, so that to make sure people pay for their bang for buck when it comes to the layout. Next, in 2018, right, where they had the balcony incentive scheme. Last time there used to be 3 to 4 balconies within a single floor plate. Is it livable or not? And that's why they have these URA policies to make sure to keep this in check, improves the layout again. Next, in 2018, bonus gross floor area for indoor recreational space in private non-landed residential development. Improve the site plan to ensure that it will not just be one tower. It has to have swimming pool, tennis court, facilities to make sure it is livable for your families. Alright, the next thing is of course in 2022, harmonization of floor area, the removal of AC latch. Again, it is to keep the layout effective, but also to bring down the price quantum to make sure it is affordable. And finally, guidelines of dwelling units in 2022, how big your development is. You will have a minimum number of 3 and 4 bedroom to ensure that natural demand remains sustainable in this development. Why I say that is because you can have a whole building of 1 and 2 bedrooms, but is it really a need to own 1 and 2 bedrooms? But as long as there is a 3-4 bedroom, there will always be a need. With that in mind, with natural demand, your prices will stay sustainable. So you can see all these URA policies are in place, and that's why I keep mentioning about transformation and infrastructure phase, because now we are following the new guidelines of the URA. This ensures livability, which ensures the needs are met. With needs being met, the natural demand will come in. You will have price sustainability. Maybe because of certain dynamics of the development that may not be favorable, but then again, you hold long enough, it is livable, there will always be this natural demand coming in, and your prices will always be going upwards. That is the key safety net that the government has put in for us. And the fastest way to implement and change the dynamics of the lands in CCR is to sell lands, and that's why the government is using the infrastructure phase, the TEL line, to implement this. So now we move on to the price prediction of River Green. Alright, so here I'm going to draw another reference, alright, like how we usually do it. Of course, another land in the CCR, which is One Marina Gardens. Basically, I'm going to draw a lot of reference to this because this is the first time a CCR land was sold, and then of course it has already been launched in the market. So based on One Marina Gardens, the land was sold at 1402 per square foot per plot ratio, with an average launching price of 2951 PSF. The lowest PSF was 2770, and the highest PSF transacted was 3133 PSF. And of course, majority of it was the 1 and 2 bedrooms. The 1 bedrooms are already sold out along the way by now. And if we draw this reference to what we are getting here at River Green, the land was actually sold at 1325 PSF. And if we do a prorated calculation on that, by right, River Green should be launching at 2617 PSF, with an average PSF of 2788 PSF, and maybe a maximum spectrum of 2960 PSF. Alright, but what I'm hearing is actually they will be launching at 29 PSF. Is that a point for contention? But actually you need to dig deeper and see why they are actually launching at 29 to 3000 PSF. Because the development of One Marina Gardens, they all generally have the 1 bedrooms at 420 square feet, 2 bedroom at 646, the 3 bedroom at 904, and the 4 bedroom at 1647 square feet. Alright, and with that in mind, our biggest unit at River Green is only a 900 plus square feet 4 bedroom. So am I right to say it is only natural for the size to be smaller means our PSF is bigger? And if you see this pattern, you will realize that actually, based on the categorization itself, the River Green is generally about 10% smaller than what One Marina Garden is selling at, especially for the bigger unit. If we take that into consideration, 10% of the 2617 PSF will actually mean another 200 more PSF to be loaded on top, right? Because of the reduction of size, all right, means the PSF will be higher, right, by that 10%. And with that in mind, it will put us at 28 to 29 PSF starting from, and then with the average PSF of about 3000 plus PSF, and then finally to wrap it up is about 3200 PSF for the peak spectrum. With that in mind, maybe that must be the rationale what the developer is thinking at, because they also need to do dollar averaging and also determine the spread as well as profitability that they will get. And with smaller sizes unit, that also means the PSF may actually be higher. So that may be a reasoning behind things. So with that in mind, if that's the case of 29 PSF, I think it's still okay. Anyway, you're getting a first mover's advantage in terms of the quantum play, and like what I said about this developer, they are going for a totally different strategy. So now we move on to the final verdict of River Green. If you ask me, River Green actually is a very viable investment option. I'm not exactly a fan of the land shape itself. To me, that is something that I may not be able to get past as a consumer. Alright, but if you ask me, depending on the entry price and the quantum, I think as an investment point of view, this is actually a very viable option, especially the 1 and 2 bedrooms. If you look at it, the Tampines area, the Lentor area, the 1 and 2 bedrooms have already crossed 1.2 mil, the 2 bedrooms can go up to 1.4, 1.5, and some even 1.7 and 1.8 for the 2 plus studies. Alright, am I right to say that with that quantum intercepting each other, then maybe we can make a little bit of a sacrifice in terms of the sizing to be actually owning a property in the CCR region. Alright, if I'm an upgrader today and I really want to be staying in the River Valley area, River Green actually opens up this option to me, because if we look at how Upper House is, Upper House, the 4 bedrooms is very big size, is catering to the other spectrum of affluence, alright, then of course the quantum goes up to 7 million. Alright, if we take the exact size for 4 bedroom at 980 times maybe the 2900 PSF, you will be getting it at a quantum of 2.842 mil for 4 bedrooms. Alright, now in general, 4 bedrooms in the RCR and OCR regions. For an RCR, the cheapest you can find is a 1184 square feet or a 1355 square feet at between the range of 3 million to 3.3 mil for places like Alta as well as Nava Grove. Alright, with the same 3 to 3.33 mil, can I get a smaller size 4 bedroom in the CCR region in River Valley? Hey, there you have it. Alright, now the Lake Gardens side of things, we have about 1500 square feet for the 4 bedrooms. It goes up to a quantum of 3.3 mil as well to 3.5 mil as well. Hey, could I have actually bought a River Valley area and be in the best locations and meet my aspirations and dreams? And that is where actually River Green actually fills this aspiration. By buying in, you are also going with your eyes wide open, that you place a limitation to the audience that you have in future. Your exit strategy may just be a bit more limited, because those who can actually own CCR, like what I said in my video in the previous pointers here, they are more affluent, they have deeper pockets. They can really go for bigger units as well. So you are limited to a very niche group of buyers in the future as well, and that may cause your exit strategy to take a hit. And because of that, I actually will be giving a scorecard of about 7 out of 10 for River Green, only because the limitation of the future audiences. But otherwise, I really like the fact and idea with what the developer is actually playing down here. They are actually getting out of the competition providing a separate option, right? They go by the affordability option where it's not all about luxury, it's not all about big floor plates and all. They keep the quantum in check so that they keep affordability in check because they are very smart. They are going for the mass market upgraders, which I've shown you the numbers just now. They can really sell out the property because of the lower quantum. Hey, to finish this off, the 4 bedrooms is at 2.8 to 2.9 million dollars. A 4-bedroom at Hillview called Hill Haven is already at 2.8 to 2.9 million dollars as well. Can I really compromise on that extra 300 square feet to be really in the heart of city center? And most importantly, the Hill Haven one is non-harmonized. This is harmonized, and that's why you still get your livability factors in check. At least the livability factors are met. The natural demand can come in, the exit strategy will still be quite clear. So we have come to the end of this River Green analysis. I hope you like my perspective and ideas. Definitely every project has a pro and con. I'm not here to say that every project cannot buy. In fact, my job as a realtor is to showcase to you how we identify opportunities, and if the opportunities is logical enough, your exit strategy will still be clear. We still retain our reputation to be able to serve you as well. But most importantly, like what I always say, why will we screw ourselves up by recommending you something that we find it difficult to sell? Alright, so if you like my ideas, my concepts, remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video at the Essentials channel.